Hodl that Bitcoin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to BTC Sessions News. I've got a special guest today. I've got Zack Voell, and I'm going to let him do a quick intro of himself, where to find him, and then we'll dive into the story.
Thanks for having me on, Benny. I'm sort of a Bitcoin hobbyist. I studied politics, economics, and finance in school, and then sort of after graduation worked a couple jobs in DC relevant to those subjects. And I've been reading, writing, and doing some podcasting about Bitcoin since I discovered it in school. My show is the Coin Pod, and we sort of produce weekly episodes, 30 to 40-minute pods with people around the world who are using or building or studying Bitcoin. Just short segments of me picking their brains about subjects that interest me, and anyone who wants to listen along, all the better. So yeah, the Coin Pod is where it's all at.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. We are going to be chatting about Gemini, the Winklevoss twins, and they just launched the Gemini Dollar, which is a US dollar backed stable coin. Now, this is meant to be a competitor to Tether, and what they're saying that they have that Tether doesn't have is regulation. So the New York Department of Financial Services has reviewed and approved the Gemini Dollar, and they also have BPM Accounting and Consulting is going to be the one that's reviewing the company's bank holdings on a monthly basis, just basically ensuring that there's enough money to one-to-one back the currency for dollars held. So I don't know. Do you have an initial reaction to this?
Yeah, I think sort of it's more or less true of the cryptocurrency space that even though there's like a lot of drama and we fight about pretty much everything, at the end of the day, it seems like we all just agree on the fact we hate stable coins. As far as like the crypto maybe more experienced individuals on Twitter, definitely among sort of the BTC Bitcoin crew. Stable coins are pretty contentious. Tweeting about the Gemini stablecoin, someone tweeted earlier today that stablecoins are as useful as sending printed emails through the postal service. Sure, you can do it, but you're missing the point. I think it's interesting, though, that Gemini stablecoin is not at all similar to the sort of like stablecoin projects that have drawn a lot of contention and attention over the past couple of years. And sort of over the last several months from the sort of like cadre of Tether truthers that are all too eager to cloud up your mentions with I don't know, whatever they blabber on about Tether. I think like my thoughts are sort of maybe taken with a grain of salt on stable coins, just because I'm not an expert on these, but I would recommend anyone watching to read and look up Preston Byrne on Twitter, who writes and thinks pretty clearly about stable coins and has for quite some time, specifically on his blog post, prestonbyrne.com. And he published something pretty insightful about the Gemini stablecoin. One of the most important points, I think, of which is that it's not similar to Tether. The Winklevoss brothers stablecoin is redeemable. It's a coupon that you can exchange for dollars, and their ledger is completely open to the public. Also, unlike Tether. So those, I mean, there's other details we can go into throughout the course of this conversation, but those two right off the bat, I think, are pretty interesting. The way that they've structured this program, they're sort of covering their bases and maybe learning from sort of the drama and regulatory sort of swamp that some of these other projects have found themselves in. So yeah, it's very different, very new, and maybe could be something good in the future. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious here because apparently this is it's built on Ethereum, so it's an ERC20 token.
Yeah.
And so I essentially, I would imagine, since it's ERC20 and it can be sent anywhere, I imagine there's a very good possibility of other exchanges now hosting it. And like you were saying, there are aspects of it that are, I guess, a step above Tether.
Yeah.
the thing that gets me, like you were saying, is it does a little bit miss the point. And I also wonder a little bit about, especially for people staying within the Gemini ecosystem, why bother with it? I mean, you can just swap directly into US dollars if you're on Gemini. So I guess this maybe is not for people that stay within the Gemini ecosystem. It's for people that want to remove their pegged US dollar coins to an Ethereum wallet, maybe. I don't know. There is mention here.
Yeah.
Tyler.
I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. No, that's okay. I was going to say, I think, yeah, it's as insofar as like trading and exchange-based behavior is concerned, I think maybe it doesn't make 100% sense as far as the use case for the stablecoin. Like, why are they going through all of the work to create this? I also think maybe the use cases for a true stablecoin are not immediately apparent yet. And here I'm sort of parroting thoughts that have been entertained by Preston Byrne. I'm pretty bearish on stablecoins as like a asset of tokens. But if one were to exist, there are at least several use cases that are interesting to entertain of in the future how a stablecoin might actually be useful. And one in particular would be sort of like autonomous technology, sort of like the Internet of Things, using a stable coin pegged to the dollar, or sort of another token built on top of a mainstream blockchain to facilitate economic exchange amongst machines. In his article on the Gemini coin, Preston Byrne expresses that maybe the most important use cases for this Gemini token don't even exist yet. So I think that's something to at least keep in the back of your mind, regardless of whether you love stable coins or hate them outright. There's a lot coming down the road that we don't know about yet, as far as things that haven't even been built yet. So maybe stablecoins have a future that we're just not able to foresee at this point. I don't know. Worth considering at least, even if you disagree.
Yeah. There's one final point I want to touch on in regards to this, and stablecoins in general is just the very name stablecoin. It is a little bit of a subjective I guess nuance when it comes to, because stable in relation to, so in this instance the US dollar, but I mean it's you're trusting the stability of the US dollar then, which, you know, in contrast to other currencies is more stable than some. So that's great, but I'm sure there'll be stable coins denominated in other currencies that may not be as stable. And not only that, what is stability? I mean, if you peg it to purchasing power, then I mean, sure, the US dollar is stable, but I mean, it's consistently going down in a stable downwards trajectory over time. So I think just the name stablecoin, it beckons to a number of people that may not understand that the US dollar does in fact fluctuate in regards to purchasing power. I just find it a funny name for something when really all currency isn't really stable. It fluctuates in buying power from day to day.
Yeah, it's just trying to sort of not necessarily achieve stability, but just sort of parity with the dollar's purchasing power and exchange rate and all of that. You're sort of mooring yourself to the dollar via a cryptographic token rather than sort of achieving stability. And some of these projects can't even do that successfully. Like my favorite one is Nubits. And if you look at that chart, like it's just tanking. Like it's, I mean, obviously every stablecoin, dollar peg stablecoin is supposed to have sort of like one token, $1 parity, and Nubits has crashed to like 25 or maybe even 15 cents or something per token. And it's just kind of amusing. Like I think one of the reasons, I guess, this is a bit tangential. One of the reasons I think stablecoins sort of have a limited future is because, and some hardcore Bitcoin maximalists have even entertained this idea in the future, where sovereign states will simply introduce their own token, being built on top of a mainstream blockchain. Not anything like we've seen in Venezuela, where they sort of try to create their own chain and token or whatever that nonsense is, but actually building a token on top of Ethereum or Bitcoin or something. And in that case, you have no need for a stable coin because the dollar has been implemented on top of a blockchain, and there's no reason to have a peg anymore. So all of the status quo problems with stablecoins aside, I think they sort of have a limited future because I think it's very likely within the next decade or two, governments will introduce their own sort of token on top of a given popular blockchain. And at that point, why have a peg to the original currency? I don't see a point for it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out if and when that does happen, and what happens to the value of these stable coins at that point. So
yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll wrap it there. Zach, can you give everybody one more time, where can they find you, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, I'm Zack Voell on Twitter at Zack Voell, Voell. And again, check out the Coin Pod at the Coin Pod. And sometimes I'm also over at You, Me, and BTC, sort of a low-key live hangout Bitcoin podcast that some of my roommates from school and I host. And again, relevant to stablecoins, I'd urge you to check out Preston Burns' writings on the subject. I've had him on the Coin Pod before. We had a great conversation. So check out him, and yeah, it's all going on over at the Coin Pod. So we'll see you over there.
Perfect. Zach, thanks so much for being on. See you next time.
No, thanks, Benny. See ya.